this whole conspiracy to enslave humanity is a psychological game. What is it now? 7.7 billion or something people in the world. The number of people who are in full knowledge behind this manipulation, this agenda for this global Orwellian state is tiny.
How tiny?
Well, I mean, in the end, if you got to the real core, you could get them in one room. That's how tiny. But then it goes out from that.
20, 30, 40, 50 people.
Yeah, and then it goes out from that. And as you go out, you're meeting people who, the further you go out, know less and less and less about what they're actually serving.
So the technology CEOs of Facebook, Twitter, and Google don't necessarily know the grand plan, but they're close enough to the center.
The idea that Mark Zuckerberg runs Facebook is a joke. I mean, have you seen those staring eyes in absolute terror and that bewildered face when he's being questioned on Capitol Hill? I mean, the idea he's running a company like Facebook is ridiculous. Obviously, there are other forces involved here, and that's where you get your coordination from. That's why Amazon and Facebook and Google and Twitter are all, and Apple are all censoring in unison, because it's coordinated towards this goal of complete control of information. And so what you're seeing is free speech being targeted with more and more excuses to reach this situation of complete control. And this is really, really important, because the next stage to look at is this. Where does human behavior come from? It comes from human perception. If I have a certain perception of an event or a situation, I'll behave towards it in a certain way. If I have a different perception of that situation, I'll behave towards it in a different way. So from perception comes behavior. Where does perception come from? It comes from information received. Whether it's a personal experience, which is a form of information, whether it's a newspaper, Facebook post or whatever, it's information received. Now, if you go deep in the shadows, beyond the politicians, you reach that level of this web where they understand, A, how reality works, they just don't want us to know, and B, how the mind works, how psychology works. And what we're looking at, because it's a few manipulating so many, the only way that you can achieve that is by controlling the perceptions of the many, and by dividing and ruling the many as well. But you've got to control the perceptions of the many. And to do that, you control information. And what this process of the internet and these internet giants, near monopolies, that process can be simply explained. And it can be explained why up to relatively recently, the internet was censorship free. My God, not anymore. And why your Facebooks and your Googles and Twitters and stuff and Amazons were censorship free, and now suddenly they aren't. This is the process towards that goal of complete control of information, thus complete control of human perception, thus control of human behavior. This is the process. The internet was created originally by an organization called DARPA. DARPA is the technological development arm of the Pentagon. I would call DARPA evil, except it might sue me for defamation, or evil might sue me for defamation of character. It's a sinister organization for which we can thank for death rays and endless new ways of killing people in larger and larger numbers without damaging the furniture. Nice people. And they created the internet. Now, if they created the internet, it ain't good for humanity. Although it could be, and it has been. But ultimately, that's not the plan, or they would not have created it with military technology.
The internet has helped your message, and it has helped people come to your and awaken.
Yes, I'm going to go through that sequence now, how that came about. Now, the idea, and this is all connected to the smart technology and all the technologies that are coming in and artificial intelligence. They had to get the internet to a point where it was the central pillar of human society. The central pillar of where all our information came from, the central pillar of control. This is why we now have the Internet of Things, where billions of pieces of technology, everything from your fridge to your car to your telly, are connected to internet. But to reach that point, it had to be what people wanted. If they'd have introduced a censored internet from the start, the internet wouldn't be now what it has become.
So they Trojan horsed it in.
They Trojan horsed it in, a very good phrase. So what they did was have a uncensored internet, and people going, "This is great, this is fantastic," and it became, the central pillar of human society. And of course, in that initial period where they were selling it, people like me and so many other people had the platform uncensored to get information out there, and it was great. And I'm sure, your DARPAs and all the connected organizations to DARPA were kind of, spitting through their teeth, but they had to do it to get the internet to where they wanted. In the same way, when your Facebook started and your Googles and your Twitters and your Amazons with the books, they would not have reached this point they've reached of near monopoly if they'd have been censoring as they are now from the start. Instead, they did exactly the same thing. No censorship, say what you like, and people then became addicted to Facebook, and Google became by far the biggest search engine. Amazon has basically destroyed the independent book industry worldwide as it existed before. And so they reached this point of monopoly. And then came the point where, yes, the internet is the central pillar of human society, and it's now irreversible. And yes, these are near monopolies. And who you're going to go to if not them? Who are you going to go to get any numbers watching your videos, if not YouTube, owned by Google, of course, or Alphabet, its parent company? So now we're in a position of power and strength. Now the internet's going to become what it was always planned to be. Now Facebook and Google and Twitter and Amazon are now going to be what they always planned to be, which were gatekeepers on the information that people can see and hear. And because of that, human perception is increasingly being given a narrower and narrower band of information from which to form those perceptions. So perceptions are being manipulated. And I have a kind of very simple rule of thumb. When people say to me, well, what are the areas that are of the agenda? And I say, look at anything you cannot have an alternative opinion about. Look at any subject where to say something different from the official narrative, you're going to get abuse, you're going to get called a Nazi, an ist of some kind, and you're basically going to get shut down. They are the key areas of the agenda, or many key areas of the agenda. And see, this is the whole point. If I want you to believe something, or I want the public to believe something, and I know that what I'm saying is so utterly flawed in my justification of it, that if there was an open debate where all opinions, facts, and evidence could be freely available and discussed, I'm going to lose the debate. So what I want to happen is not going to happen because I'll lose the debate, because I won't be able to justify it in an open debate. What do? You don't have the debate. You shut it down.